Agent on the yeah.
Oh, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? What's good, chat? What's good? We live, we litty. You already know. It's BigGuyFantasySports.com. You see the link right down below. You see the bandage right down below. Go ahead, open up another tab, open up another URL, whatever the fuck. And, go look at BigGuyFantasySports.com. Check out everything that we got going out there. Make sure each and every single fantasy football season you get our Fantasy Football Consistency Guide, weekly updated. Go ahead, get your VIP subscription over at BigGuyFantasySports.com. It's litty. It's up. It's all the way up. Like that's all I can really say. That's all I can really say. In this economy, QBs are a scare. We are definitely gonna talk about it. Taco, how you doing?
Man, as Outcast said on that one song, I'm feeling good, feeling great, feeling good. How are you?
How are you?
You know what I mean?
Good. I'm feeling pretty good. Cheers to me. Cheers to you, all the Rum Boys and girls want to do. Dilly dilly. It is Modelo time somewhere. Geek. We're live on our Twitch. We're live on BigGuyFantasySports.com YouTube, and we're live on Rumboyz YouTube as well. This way, we can filter in as many questions and as much we view guys' comments and stuff in between and out of our takes, because it's fucking fantasy football playoffs. Everyone's here for fantasy football playoffs. No one gives a shit about anything else but fantasy football playoffs. And we're here to help you guys through it. Playoffs? We're talking about playoffs. Exactly what I named the show. So playoffs, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Let's get into some fantasy football playoff consistency game show hype right now. All right, shut the fuck up, music. All right, Taco.
All right, brother.
Now that our cheap game show theme has played, what are we thinking about here at quarterback? Based off our consistency ratings, shout out to the homie Bob Lung. Big up Bob Lung. BigGuyFantasySports.com. Make sure you guys head on over there. What are we thinking?
All right. I'm actually going to throw you a little curveball here. I was just looking fast, but we're going to go curveball here, and we're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns and Old Man Flacco. Old Man Flacco right now has played 2 games on the season. He's been named the starter for the rest of the season. What is his consistency rating?
First, why even start the show off talking about the Browns?
Because I actually think this week he's a start. I think if you have a chance to play him, you get him and play him.
All that there is realistically to say about Joe Flacco, I mentioned it last week. And I mentioned it on other shows and podcasts. So this is a fucking dead take that I'm going to drop. He's a veteran. What do you expect? Realistically, is not mattering what his consistency is, especially because it hasn't been much, and it hasn't been much of a sample size. Is an impressive, absolute freaking yay! Like, yes, we get that it's impressive. I'm gonna guess somewhere around about 33% consistency.
No, sir. He is sitting at 100% consistency on the season with 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, throwing for over 300 yards in the last game. Now, the next 2 matchups are not the best.
Okay. It's 100% consistency. He's only played fucking 2 games.
2 games. That's right.
Big.
That's what. But hear me out here. The next 2 games, he has Chicago and Houston, and I know, like you said, his consistency. It's only 2 games. It's been a short sample. But with the games that he has and with the injuries that you have at quarterback, I would even take him over a guy like Browning because of the fact you have the weapons here on Cleveland.
Yeah. Cool. Anyways, moving on. Let's get into the running backs. Let's just say, listen to the pre-production, ladies and gentlemen. Fuck. Anyways, let's get into running backs.
So at running back, we have a bunch of guys right now that have not really lived up to their draft day grading. But we have seen an offense that's been exploding, but a running back that really hasn't been a part of it. And that's my guy, Tony Pollard over in Dallas. Now, Dallas is seeming like to be one of those teams that could lead teams to fantasy playoff championships. But where do you see Tony Pollard's consistency ranking so far on the season?
We've talked about Pollard before. Actually, he's still in the same range for me. It hasn't changed. It's not gonna change. He's still in that 65 percentile. Yeah, you're expecting that on a high-powered offense. Obviously, this is someone that you're going to start in the fantasy playoffs.
So now I got a question for you.
Yeah,
if you have a guy like Tony Pollard, who, while he has been consistent, he hasn't been a monster, and you have a guy like, I don't know, maybe Ezekiel Elliott, who you added last week, and you see he's now getting full target loads, would you consider then maybe giving a guy like Zeke a shot over Pollard, who, again, he's been consistent, but he hasn't hit anything big?
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're starting Pollard. That's for me not as much as a conversation. But I'm gonna go ahead and take over for these next two, and really see what we got rocking here. The tight end that I actually want to talk about. We're gonna get into tight ends here really quick. We're just gonna steer the ship a little bit. I want to talk about Bengals tight end Tanner Hudson. Taco, where do you think Tanner Hudson's consistency is at in regards to consistency? Really going off with a high-powered quarterback right now that is honestly going to win someone a fantasy football championship, and Jake Browning, who we really were supposed to talk about in the first segment of the show. Browning, of course, with a fantasy football consistency rating of 40% heading into the fantasy football playoffs, which for a guy who hasn't played a whole lot of games and just toss it to the range is damn fucking good. What are we thinking that Hudson at tight end is right now?
I mean, I would say he has to be running around that 30% range because he really hasn't been a factor for most of the season.
Hudson is actually 50%. Hudson is at a 50% consistency. We're starting to see him actually get targets more and more. If you are going to be hurting at tight end, if you've pretty much been streaming tight ends, this is more so for my streamers out there, my guys that are 4 seeds, 6 seeds, that maybe your tight end position hasn't been producing. You probably don't have Hawkinson or, any of the other guys out there. Maybe you've been waiting, banking on Schultz to come back, figuring out whenever the hell that's going to happen. Freiermuth has been working out for you, et cetera, et cetera. Hudson, a guy that is getting hot heading into the playoffs, also in that same neighborhood as a Cade Otton. So if you've been on the low-hanging fruit side of tight ends, definitely suggest maybe going out there and grabbing a Tanner Hudson. He's getting targets out there in Cincinnati, and targets are king in fantasy football. Next up for wide receiver, let's see here where I want to go. You know what? I know exactly where I want to go here. We're gonna talk more so along the lines of flex guys, flex players. A guy that I think that should be in every single person's lineup, a guy that I am biased on. Where are you leaning in regards to Zay Flowers in terms of his fantasy football consistency? honestly going to start, going to be a league winner for you from that flex position?
I would say he has to be at least 70%.
Almost right on the money, 69% in terms of consistency rating. You definitely need to start Zay Flowers. If hell, from an injury standpoint, let's say that you've lost a Christian Kirk recently, or you're worried about what can happen in regards to a Tyreek, and bench is probably looking maybe a little bit thin for you. You're not sure what you're going to do or what you're going to get. Zay Flowers, 69% consistent on fantasy football consistency report over on BigGuyFantasySports.com. Definitely starting Jay Flowers anytime, anywhere. That is the Fantasy Football Consistency Game Show. Robbie's Man Crush. Wow. Maybe just a little bit. That was the Fantasy Football Consistency Game Show. Be sure to check out all the consistency ratings. You want to be looking at those guys that are high powered, that are also climbing those weekly ratings week in week. Jaden Reed. Be on the lookout, especially heading deep into the playoffs where injuries are going to be happening. Guys are going to be getting benched. You're going to be looking for optimal output. BigGuyFantasySports.com. Stay tuned for much more. We'll be back on the other side. And we're back. What a all righty. Cal, what's good? Yeah. Dallas's offense definitely hella high powered. That's for damn sure. Hudson hella mid, but he's getting targets. He is getting the targets. I expect those targets to keep continuing. I know we did QBs already, but what's Howell's consistency rating? Sam Howell, 1 second. There is going to be, because he didn't play last week. The data's not there to be with everyone else, but he's number 4 on consistency. That's amazing, especially because he's one of the few healthy quarterbacks that you have left, knock on wood. 85% consistent of the time. You can trust Sam Howell. You're probably likely going to win a fantasy football championship running out there with Sam Howell.
100%.
Possibly as QB1. I'm in a situation where Sam Howell is QB1 on my lineup, and I am kind of okay with it. I'm completely okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, currently on the season, he's QB7, so he's right there, and he's, like you said, super consistent.
Exactly. What up? Made the playoffs. Tough opponent this week. Need the potential boom week. Got a bunch of start questions. Pre-warning. All full PPR, just so you know. I am with it. Number 1, likely at Jacksonville or McBride versus San Francisco. That is likely very easily for me. We run likely there. Likely filling in for this kind of, mock-up Mark Andrews role. And we know that Baltimore team is meaning business right now. So I'm all about it. Number 2, 2 running back, 2 receiver, 1 flex. Cook versus Dallas, Mixon versus Minnesota, Pollard versus Buffalo. Pollard definitely, for me, has to be in the mix there. Spears versus Houston. Spears is really only relevant whenever teams are not, whenever the Titans are down by more than 2 scores, and that's when they really, start activating Spears. So I shy away from that. And then those are your receiver options. Okay, so I'll stop right there at your running backs. After Spears, for me, give me Mixon and give me Pollard. Mixon versus Minnesota, Pollard versus Buffalo. Minnesota allows points, even though the Raiders forgot that whole memo. So that's where I go there. My 2 receivers that I would start out of Diggs, Ayuk, Marquise Brown, and Jaden Reed, Joshua Downs. So Joshua Downs definitely is not making this list. Not even in your flex. So we're gonna cancel that right out the brick. Okay. For your receivers and your flex. Diggs, and Ayuk are obvious to me. So there's your two receivers. Now we're just really talking about your flex position here. And for me, it's Reed, no brainer.
Yep. Yep. At running back, I agree. It's Mixon, and I agree that it is Pollard. At tight end, I'm a little bit more torn. I think McBride's volume over the last couple of weeks with Murray has me leaning more toward McBride, but it's a little tougher matchups. That's splitting air, seeing where you feel more comfortable. That's really more a gut play. I think the volume on McBride's side make him a little bit more stable. In Isaiah Likely's last 2 games, he has 6 and 7 targets for 4 and 5 catches versus McBride, who has 9 targets in week 10, 7 in week 11, 9 in week 12, and 9 in week 13. He has 8 catches, 5 catches, 7 catches, 8 catches. He did catch a touchdown in his last game. He just seems like he's really built a rapport with Murray. And that volume is kind of giving me a little bit more of a lead to McBride, who's tight end 10 on the season.
Respectable. Who'd you rather have this week full PPR if Stroud doesn't play? Levis at Houston, DeVito at New Orleans, Flacco versus Chicago, Zach Wilson versus Miami.
I mean, I gave that away early. I'm taking Flacco, and I'm taking that Baltimore defense.
Yeah, it won't be Zach Wilson. I would probably go Flacco personally. Yes, I would go Flacco there. It would be Flacco, DeVito, Levis for me. Let's see here. I've got Hal and Browning to choose from in a 1 QB league. Thoughts?
Not even a choice.
You gotta go Hal. You gotta go
QB7 on the league, 85% consistent. The odds just say you're asking for trouble. I mean, yes, Browning can maybe outscore him, but you're really hoping for like more of an anomaly than what we're seeing.
Yeah, for me, it's hands down Hal.
Yep.
Appreciate the basketball update. Thank you, CJ. Thank you. Let's get into some talk that I kind of had here on the show sheet. I want to do something pretty bloody interesting, mate. Let's talk starting lineups. Let's talk starting lineups as of now, as of like right now. Of course, we're all probably waiting on, guys to come back healthy. Brian Robinson, awaiting their statuses. We'll get more news on those guys as the week progresses. But I want to get into what is your let's talk about what is your ugliest playoff lineup heading into this week? What is your ugliest playoff lineup?
I mean,
it's all around one of the playoffs.
Yeah, I would say it's the one where I'm having to make some tough decisions. I have Javonte Williams, Zeke. I'm sitting at Warren, Montgomery. I got to start 4 of them. I got Flowers. I got to start 4. And I have like 6 guys, Ridley, that I'm all between. It's a solid team, but not a great team. My quarterback is Love. Like I'm debating if I'm going to go Love, if I maybe pick up one of these guys again, which is where my leaning on Flacco, just the way he's been playing, the rapport he's been showing. I know what you're saying about the veteran and everything like that, but he's like sometimes when a guy's on a hot one, he's on a hot one, and I saw him do it for the Jets live and in person last season when he was with them in the beginning of the year with Wilson. So I've seen him do it recently, and that's kind of maybe why I have a little bit of bias on Joe Flacco actually having a QB1 type performance again this week. He's done it 2 weeks. He has a little bit of rapport. This is a little bit more of a tougher matchup. But I don't know. There's just something about me that's leaning into this Flacco narrative and thinking like, it's fantasy playoff season. And sometimes these narratives actually fucking hit.
Yeah. I'm with the Flacco take. I have nothing against that. But your roster though,
like I said, it's Love, St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Javonte Williams, David Montgomery. I got Isaiah Likely because I lost Andrews. Then I'm sitting between Flowers, Ezekiel Elliott, Calvin Ridley. I lost Tank Dell, so we're looking at Jalen Warren as another guy in there. And then what is it? Kyron Williams, who's an automatic plug-in, so he's definitely getting in. So I only really have one slot that I'm trying to figure. And I'm leaning toward Javonte Williams, who's starting to get hot. I've seen him kind of help me decently. But also part of me is looking at that volume Zeke has been getting, especially in the passing game, which to me is easy money. Like the touchdown here is almost a given because of how good he is in short yardage situations. But the fact that he's getting the passing work with that, you're telling me touchdown upside with passing work potential, that to me is an RB1. I'm snagging him and trying to start him as many places as I can because of that versatility. Now, if Stevenson comes back, everything changes. But if Stevenson's out, Zeke could be a interesting moneymaker.
Okay. For me, roster that I'm gonna go ahead and review. This to me is my ugliest playoff roster. Believe it or not, there's still going to be some decisions that I'm going to make throughout the week in regards to guys that I'm going to add, guys that I'm going to drop, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe I don't tinker too much. We will see. Sam Howell, QB1. This is a 2 QB league, by the way, full PPR. Sam Howell, QB1. Mitch Trubisky is QB2 with Zach Wilson sitting on the bench. Wilson did all right for me last week, but it's Miami this week, and I don't trust that. Excuse me, but we'll see how things work out, how things progress throughout the week. Trubisky was okay, wasn't too bad for me last week either. So, and I had to play both Trubisky and Wilson, and that wasn't pretty. That wasn't beautiful. Happy to have Hal back. But I think I'm kind of leaning Trubisky against that Indy defense. Indy likes to allow people to put up points on them. So maybe a couple of George Pickens highlight plays, and we're in there. Joe Mixon at running back. I'm thinking that Brian Robinson is going to come back healthy. His status hasn't changed at all, but they're playing the Rams this week. Rams like to play close games. Rams like to allow points. Washington trying to see what they're going to figure out at head coach. They're definitely not going to lay down and just give up fucking games, especially this young team. Guys want to go out there and compete, like we mentioned Sam Howell earlier. So Brian Robinson, I think, will be back healthy, especially coming off of a bye. I have him as RB2 behind Joe Mixon. Realistically, Robinson's more like RB1 and Mixon's RB2. AJ Brown, DJ Moore, Puka Nacua. That's what I'm running as my 3 receiver set. Those 3 options all speak for themselves. McLaurin going on the bench. We'll see if I end up putting him in flex. We'll see how I feel about that because I have McLaurin right in the bench right now because I have those 3 guys that are all pretty dominant. Jonnu Smith is my tight end. I definitely need to figure out something there because that's just a whole fucking problem. And I'm tired of dealing with that headache. It sucks. Higbee out. Higbee, please come back. If Higbee comes back, then boom, I slide Higbee in. All's well and is okay. Jalen Warren, and this is 2 flexes. Jalen Warren in my flex. I'm rocking with it. I'm rocking with this until the wheels fall off. Maybe that's where I make the decision between him and Terry. Just because you don't know what the team tried to overly feed Najee last week, and I just don't like it. Zach Moss in the second flex, he's getting the touches. It's just no one else really. It's him. And then I got Hopkins as my kicker. Look, he's kicker number 2 on the year. I'm rocking with it. And then I have the Indy defense, top 4 defense in fantasy. They tend to, even though they allow points, they tend to find ways to get themselves points because they create turnovers. And that's what I love about this defense. That's what I enjoy about this defense. And Pittsburgh is a team that can possibly create turnovers. And maybe that's where I end up starting Zach Wilson over Mitch Trubisky, just with the whole, I don't know. I don't know there. Maybe maybe we roll the fucking dice and grab an Eastern stick, but his schedule down the rest of the season is not great. So yeah, that's my ugliest playoff lineup. It's a 5 seed, but it's gonna slug it the fuck out. It's gonna slug it out.
I don't know, man. I know that Terry's had a bad narrative over his last 5 games or so before this bye. But like you said, the Rams just tend to give up points. I'm the Sam Howell, Terry McLaurin narrative. Maybe it's because I got them in so many best ball leagues. I'm just pulling for that. It just feels like, you know what? If there's a week it's going to work, this would be the week. And after that, you got the Jets, which that could be an interesting shit show.
Hopefully Gino plays this week. Still waiting on that to calm down the line. Right now, he just has the O tag. He just has an out. Right now is what we know. We're waiting. We are waiting. So yeah. You're 9-5, 8-6, and 6-8. Hey, that's not a bad fantasy season between 3 leagues, man. That's actually really good. That's because you also watch us pretty faithfully too. So you know,
this year there was a ton of injuries this year, and then I feel like the beginning part of the season, with the way these teams are holding things so close to the vest in the off season and training camp, things are changing.
Who are your
so good?
Who are your backups, Adam? Who are your backups? Maybe there's a way to navigate around this. I have been in this position before being in the playoffs. There's still a way to pull it off because honestly, it's the NFL. And you never know what the fuck is going to happen. They just say, no, it's not going to ruin your playoff run. It just gives you less of a chance, but it's okay. It's going to be, trust me, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. While we wait to see who his backups are, waiver wire ads for the week. There's no more Justin Herbert for the rest of the season.
Okay, how about oh man,
Geno's not a lock, and there's still Geno. Mullins is announced the starter over Dobbs. Quarterback is fucking weird.
Quarterback is fucking weird. Listen, everything is weird right now. Between the injuries and everything else that's happened this season, it's a scary place sometimes in these playoffs. Where, like you said, you have guys that have Jamar Chase and Keenan Allen who are perennial monsters, and now you're not going to have them for the most important matchup of your season. So, I think the guy that you mentioned, who's probably added in most competitive leagues, I know he's in only 62% in Yahoo. Reed, if by some miracle he's floating there, you snag him up. Palmer is coming back with Keenan Allen out. That's a strictly volume free play.
I was talking about quarterbacks. How the fuck did you just go to receivers?
Oh, because I was still on this question.
How did you just do that?
Because I was still on this question.
Did that?
Because he just asked the question. He said Jason Keenan missing. I'm sorry. He just said the question. I'm sorry. I was answering the question.
Holy shit.
Listen, I was still on the question. I'm sorry.
All I did was put the comment up.
I know, but
I did not say that we were answering that.
You're right. That's my bad. The quarterbacks, though.
What the fuck, Taco? Go ahead. Quarterback.
No, I was mentioning at the wide receiver, and I guess maybe we'll go back then since you said go ahead. Palmer's going to be back, and if Keenan Allen is out on a strictly volume play, I don't think that's bad. It's bad. When you said go ahead, I don't know what you mean. Then I'm confused. Should I go ahead?
Go ahead. Quarterbacks, bro.
I mean, at quarterbacks, I think we said it. For me, if I could pick up Flacco, I'm playing Flacco. Browning, you had mentioned, is a great option.
Go with the flow. Go with the flow. Go with the fucking flow, man. All righty. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about receivers since Taco is so eager right now. Adam, I was so about to get to your question, brother. You have Ridley, you have Downs, and a very barren waiver wire. You're pretty much hoping that in your league, guys start making decisions to drop guys start making decisions to drop players. And judging by you saying that it's really in Downs, it sounded like that there's a lot of deep benches. Benches are super deep. It sounds like everyone's been cleaning up the waiver wire. Zay Jones is likely already gone. I mean, you're not running 2 fucking Jags. That are definitely not going to do. Taco did mention Reed. I don't mind playing Reed, especially over Downs. Actually, I prefer playing Reed over Downs. We need to see what's going to happen with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is probably going to be fine. But we need to see what's going to happen with that. I mean, maybe, when you tune into Rumboys on a Sunday morning, maybe I'm like, hey guys, like I got this report and Braxton Berrios is going to be seeing this many targets. Like they're going to be going to him crazy. Missing Chase, you're kind of hoping that maybe Boyd can do something, but I mean, even he's rolling out with a questionable tag. But even when you're in a swing for the fences type of situation, if he's healthy, I feel like you could probably start Boyd. Elijah Moore seems to have a connection with Flacco. That could be a good pickup as well. I definitely got the Berrios Riz. Wan'Dale Robinson had a damn good fucking showing last night.
I low-key like that, especially when you look at his roster percentage and you're pulling at straws. I feel like, started to have a little bit of rapport with DeVito. He made a couple of big plays. I mean, they're facing New Orleans, tough defense. I feel like he's going to have to get off quick. Wan'Dale Robinson at 9% in Yahoo is maybe a pivot. Maybe.
Yeah, like I don't know if that carries over into this upcoming week. I personally more so lean towards the Jalen Hyatt train in that offense. I more so really like the ability for you to go and get to maybe go and grab a Boyd, to maybe go and grab a KJ Osborne. We don't know what's gonna. KJ Osborne could maybe hopefully be a thing again. I don't buy into Michael Gallup too much, just because I think that was just a beat the Eagles type of scenario.
I agree.
But Dallas is playing really well right now. Maybe that's not too bad to go and grab. One that I really do want to highlight, though, is Jameson Williams. If you're able to maybe possibly grab a Jameson Williams, hearing reports that they want to start trying to unlock him down the stretch more.
One other name that I think is kind of interesting is Demario Douglas. Over his last couple of games,
there's absolutely a chance. Maybe possibly.
In his last 4 games, 5 catches, 5 catches, 6 catches, 6 catches. I'm not saying he's a superstar, but when you're desperate and grabbing that stuff, you got to grab what you can get.
Chase is still is managing the ankle injury. Keenan Allen did not participate today. They both have Q tags. Law of averages says that they're both not going to be out, but definitely make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Whether it's Rumboys, whether it's Big Guy Fantasy Sports, and I'll definitely keep you posted. I have an AMA tomorrow. I'll have more information tomorrow. Any hypebeast trying to grab Odell? No. Grab
Odell.
Running backs. To talk about, I mean, really not a whole lot outside of. I really want to highlight Chase Brown. had a breakout performance. Looked like he was geared towards a breakout performance in his 8.1 fantasy outing against Jacksonville. I get it. You look at it, it's like RB73, like no way, but like we were wanting to know when this was going to happen. They're clearly starting to go into a running back by committee, which says that either A, this is a game plan to possibly, if they don't make the playoffs, get ready to move on past Joe Mixon, or B, if they somehow sneaky Bengals make it into the playoffs, this could be a guy that they're going to utilize down the stretch to help make that happen so that Mixon can stay healthy as they get into the playoffs when the regular season doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
and then run Mixon into the ground.
Yeah, he's had 8 and 9 carries over his last 2 games, and in the last game he had the 3 catches, which really gave him, that last life.
Yeah, to me, that's the must, one of the more so must adds. I know we saw like this weird, like kind of like so adding from Latavius Murray. I'm not caring about Latavius Murray. Rico Dowdle in deep leagues could possibly be a thing. I mean, I know that if he's able to find the end zone, if I get double digits out of a Rico Dowdle, great. But if you're in the playoffs, I'm imagining that you have a pretty deep running back stable and you're not really fucking hurting. So there's no need for me to spend time on this position.
There's one guy that I think is an interesting one, and that's because of Madison being that concussion syndrome, Chandler getting as many carries as he did last week. We're not 100% sure if Madison is going to clear, and they're already trending towards more of a split backfield. So that's another upside kind of guy who is 23% rostered in Yahoo. That maybe if you need to take a chance at it, I think Ty Chandler could be an interesting player down the stretch. I know you were hyping him at the start of the season, Robbie, again like Chase Brown.
Yeah, he had a season high in touches. This past weekend. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. If it's Ty Chandler, I'm willing to.
Montgomery's in the concussion.
If it's Ty Chandler, I'm willing to tip my hat on it. In a lot of leagues that I'm in, he's kind of already been taken, but even on a sleeper, he is 29% roster, only 5% started. So maybe a sneaky playoff play there, as I like to call them, diamonds in the rough. And then in regards to tight ends, I already touched on Hudson, but Tucker Kraft is, kind of getting some looks, kind of getting, the positive nod. He had 15.4 fantasy points against the Giants last night. Double digits against Detroit, 9 points against Kansas City, double digits against the Giants. Something tells me he does double digits again against Tampa Bay. He's available on waivers in the league that I just broke down my roster for. I could see myself maybe going after him. And then also I want to highlight Hunter Henry, tight end 17 on this season. Even Bailey Zappi's finding him. He had 22 fantasy points this last week, almost close to a week 2 outing against Miami with 23.2. It's Kansas City this week. Kansas City's on an emotional roller coaster right now. I kind of like the Hunter Henry play low key.
Hunter Henry, I'm not mad. Another guy that I'm kind of low key, like, all right, you're desperate. You need solid points out of a tight end. Another guy that we were talking about early in the season who seems to be coming back around is our guy in Tennessee, Chig. With Levis under center and over his last 3 games, he has had almost double digits points. He's had 4, 3, and 5 catches respectively with 45, 60, and 46 yards. I'm not saying he's a world breaker, but he's trending in the right direction. Levis isn't looking absolutely terrible, and this is the tight end position, so it's not like you have a lot of options. He's 36% rostered. If you're taking shots, I don't think he's a horrible shot with the way he's trending and with the way we felt about him in the beginning of the season. It seems like maybe something is getting unlocked.
No, I like that take. I like that take. That's really all to touch on in terms of hot waiver wire ads. Would win a championship if I had my full lineup healthy. Bro, I feel that. I feel that. I feel that. I definitely relate. Just wanna, hang on. Stupid laptop. There you go. No, not stupid laptop. I honestly love this fucking laptop. I'm kidding. Let's see here. I want to jump into must drafts for next season. So not everyone is in the playoffs, but there are people that are gearing up and getting ready for Dynasty. There are people that are already looking forward to beating that most hated person, that most hated league mate this year. They have vitriol tours like, you know what? No, I need to draft better. Where am I going to be looking at? Where am I going to be looking at? Of course, there's going to be a lot of movement. You know, George Pickens, you're not going to be on the Pittsburgh Steelers next year. Of course, there's going to be a lot of movement. In terms of players that you think that are going to remain in their position and are kind of fairly on the secure side in fantasy football, who are some guys that next year you're looking forward to grabbing and that you're looking forward to drafting?
Well, since it's next season, and I have to go with the guy that, I fell in love with this season in the fantasy sense of the world, and that's Tank Dell. Like, when Tank Dell and CJ Stroud were together, it's been magical. I want to see what they look like in year 2. I hope this kid comes back healthy and doesn't really experience much loss. But yeah, I'm really excited for Tank Dell and where him and CJ Stroud can go together.
Absolutely. I mean, and put CJ Stroud in that same breath. I mean, why we'll just talk about the Texans both. Anxious to grab them both. Both are ballers. Will defenses have a little bit more knowledge over those two next year? Absolutely. But that's where you calculate for regression and things of that nature. Do I think there's going to be much between the two of them? No. I definitely look forward to having that duo. We already touched on, we talked about the player earlier in the show. For me, especially as a Commanders fan, it's Sam Howell. I think that we always talk about receivers being quarterback proof. I think that he's a guy that is going to be receiver proof. Get him at least someone that can be, right there, compete with the rest of the pack of receivers, like a McLaurin. Who knows? Maybe we move up in the draft and we end up with, a Marvin Harrison Jr. if he chooses to declare. Sounds like he's not going to because of the NIL deals. Marvin Harrison, no way he's saying in college, exactly. But I really like his career trajectory and where it's going and where the organization's trying to go. For me, I'm all in on the Sam Howell train from a quarterback standpoint. Definitely looking forward to grabbing him next year, and he's going to be a league winner this year for damn sure. I think that we're going to see a couple of rosters that are going to be Sam Howell got me to a championship, and people are going to be like, "What?" And I don't think that's a far-fetched take along with him and Brock Purdy in that same breath. Brock Purdy, ball the rest of the year, bro. Ball the fuck out rest of the year.
One guy that
down on you.
One guy that, if we're going homers, because I know you brought up Sam Howell, there's a gut feeling, and it's probably against what the public narrative will be. I think Saquon Barkley comes back to the Giants next year. I think they work out a deal, and he will be, again, a fantasy stud, main focal point of the Giants offense. And some people probably think he might be a free agent, go somewhere else. I don't see the Giants moving on for him. I see him as being one of their marquee faces of the franchise. I see it as a guy that from
Giants shit.
I told you it was Homer. I did say Homer. I said since we're going a little Homer here, I did say that. So I prefaced. Yes, I do think that Saquon is back.
Let it go. Like, for real, let it go. Wow. In regards to running backs that I'm looking forward to grabbing next year, Jahmyr Gibbs. I see no reason outside of maybe trying to repeat what they did this year for them to try and keep Montgomery. I don't think that they do keep Montgomery. I very easily see it being 100% the Gibbs show. I see Montgomery maybe, them being like, hey, look, like we need to make money to supply needs elsewhere for the things that didn't get us over the hump, and then trying to go out and purchase those needs to get them over the hump. I am super excited about having Jahmyr Gibbs in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything points to that kid being a potential stud. Just everything about him. The way he's able to carry himself on the field, the way he breaks tackles, the way he can catch, his ability to run. Like, he has all the things you want out of a top flight running back.
Really quick, I also want to. I need to in the same breath. Devin Chan. I'm so excited. Is there going to probably be because of the way he runs and how violent he runs that maybe like, hey, like you may miss like 4 weeks out of the season for me. That's why I feel like between him and Gibbs you can kind of justify being like, I'm gonna go RB here. Depending on how draft boards shake out next year, of course we got to wait for that type of thing to balance out. Receivers, or wait, or yeah, let's go receivers.
I feel like I'm just going so New York because the first guy that comes to my mind is Garrett Wilson because I feel he's going to have an uber bounce back with a new quarterback because he's so talented. But this season, with the shit that he's been given, he can only go so far. If you're giving him to Aaron Rodgers, I just can't see him not being a top 5 quarterback. I mean,
for me, it has to be either A, he's getting Aaron Rodgers back, or B, the incumbent rookie. If Aaron Rodgers decides, you know what, guys, like fuck it, like I'm done, it was fun, like whatever. For me, in order for him to maintain and not just end up being like another guy that's like, oh, well, he's just quarterback proof. I think that whoever comes in has to be him. Like we're talking, they have to be him at the 100%. And I don't know, given what we've seen with the Jets, how that pans out.
I will say this:
I could see another Brandon Marshall type of situation where it's like you're good, everything around you sucks, and I don't know how much I'm willing to be anxious to go and get that.
And
I don't
maybe
know if I'm for that.
Maybe again, this is another New York thing, but there's no way in hell Aaron Rodgers isn't coming back as a quarterback. I will put my whole life. He is coming back next season. Ain't no doubt about it. Even if he, there's nothing.
This is the NFL. There's no such thing as certainty. So to speak anything,
I know what you're saying, but Aaron Rodgers is that kind of guy. Like, he doesn't want to end his career like that.
But we also just
loves it.
There are no knowns and no knowns and no knowns.
Like, I know what you're saying.
You just gotta let things be. Right. For me, I am siding with Leafs here. I am excited about grabbing Puka Nacua next year. I do think that they have to move on from Cooper Kupp this year, especially after what they've kind of gotten out of him. Cooper Kupp, don't get me wrong, when he's on the field, absolutely still a fucking stud, absolutely dominant. But Nacua has become such a threat where it's like, oh, well, maybe we can we can move Kupp because he's still an asset for another team. And maybe now we bring back an asset. I could easily see Rams being like, hey, Washington, let us get Terry. We'll give you an old ass Kupp. And I can see dumbass Washington be like, okay. Just like that's just the most Washington shit ever. Look back when we brought in Santana Moss and Pierre Garçon, and we had got rid of a younger receiver core and brought in older guys. But then look at what happened. We were able to go further, during that stretch, with them, Sean, and et cetera, et cetera. So I could see Washington maybe being like, oh, let's try and reinvent the fucking wheel. Maybe doing some weird, wild, crazy shit like that. Cooper Kupp at that age where they're not going to try and send him to a competitor and he's already gotten a ring. They're going to treat him like Adam Thielen. And it's going to be like, hey, like, we know that you're in this competitive situation here in Minnesota, but you're getting old. Go to Carolina and help the rookie. Narratives tend to play out that way. That, obviously, that's not what was literally said, but, in that scenario, but that's how that'll likely kind of pan out.
So I got a question for you. If like that narrative happened where they make that move off of Cup, do you think they're also moving off of Stafford, or do you think that they're just nah? I think with Stafford's age, wouldn't you just give them both a shot and see? Because with Puka being so cheap right now,
Stafford, you're gonna hold on to Stafford until the wheels fucking fall off, which can be soon, probably within the next 2 years, 3 years. But Stafford's also the type of quarterback. I know he kind of alluded to maybe a potential retirement this past season. There was complaints about, well, the rest of the guys are super young, et cetera, et cetera. I think that Stafford still manages to try and convince, his wife Kelly that, like, yeah, babe, like, I'm gonna go out there and play again. I just think that is him. He's gonna play until he fucking can't, until his body falls apart. He's gonna what we waited forever for Ben to retire and Breeze to retire. He's gonna kind of go underneath like that Rivers type of like where it's like, bro, like, come on, hang it up, like, you're done. Like, this is kind of, the only difference is how, like, he has that Super Bowl kind of like Breeze or like a Roethlisberger.
Near Hall of Fame credentials.
Yeah, exactly. At the tight end position, tight end that I'm anxious to grab, for me, it's absolutely fucking Sam Laporta. Lee's put it in there. It's Sam Laporta. Grabbing him in Dynasty. Any tight end premiums, I'm definitely grabbing it. Any tight end premium dynasties, I'm definitely grabbing Laporta first. I don't care who's coming out in this class. Like, Laporta to me is, I don't think that there's any possible narrative. I mean, obviously there's a possible narrative. I shouldn't do that. I just got on you about speaking absolutes. But I am not seeing the whole like, oh, he peaked as a rookie type of thing, because we haven't really seen that. Like, this is some future Travis Kelce type shit. And I think that it kind of stays that way and it becomes consistent that way. We saw how Detroit utilized Hawkinson when they got Hawkinson. I think that they learned from that, and like that kind of put them in the trajectory to be like, no, we're going to be a tight end heavy type of team. I'm loving Laporta moving forward in the future. What's a tight end that you are anxious to grab next year?
I mean, I think I would go with another rookie in that class, Kincaid. I just think that he and Allen, over that period of time that Knox was out, really established themselves as a solid connection. I know in the last couple of games he hasn't been quite as good as he was to start with, but overall, I like where they're going. And this is only their rookie year, so I do tend to believe that he has more room to grow.
I like that. Especially because they're going to probably they are going to move on past Knox. Really quick on the Kincaid thing. Really quick on the Kincaid thing. Knox 3 receptions that he had last week gave him 9.8 fantasy points, I believe. Excuse me. That does worry me for a Kincaid down the stretch. Just because it's like he played 47% of the snaps. That is something that does worry me about Kincaid down the stretch, but don't worry, Kincaid next year is going to be a full go. That was Kincaid's lowest snap count. He did miss the previous 5. I don't expect that to continue. I think that 47% of the snap share that he played was in the 3 targets for the 3 receptions that he did get. For 36 yards, I think that is, we're not far off from seeing them try to reintegrate him back into the offense, especially if they can win out the rest of the schedule and find themselves sneaking into the fucking playoffs. Buffalo is sneaky like that. The NFL is crazy, and they love narratives.
And even in that last game, he still had 8 targets for 5 catches. Now he made 21 yards, which is not good. But the point is that Josh Allen will force the ball to him. It seems like they have a solid player, and Josh Allen is the type to hyper target.
Yeah, but I do like Kincaid for the future. I want to show love to the Titans really quick. Jake Ferguson and Trey McBride. I think that both are going to climb up the tight end rankings next year. I think both are going to be making very heavy shakes. Maybe not necessarily to the top 3 to the top 5, but I think we are going to be, talking about them, pretty heavily when we talk about, tight ends 5 and down, or tight ends 6 and down, I should say, more so. And yeah, guys, no more drafting Kyle Pitts. You figured that out. It's done. Kyle Pitts has Kyle Pitts has
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Last week when he got that touch, and I was like, "Whoa!" I was actually going into that day I need some Kyle Pitts action, and he delivered. So maybe he said, "Listen, I still got it, guys. I still got it."
Yeah. But I do like with the talent pool in this grouping, it's next year is that's gonna be a position where I could see a lot of people just punting on it. Just because if you're not getting the top, then it's well, fuck, you got to. If you're not getting a top 7 next year at the tight position, then yeah, you're probably going to punt the rest away, which will have more analysis to come as to how that'll shake out, because things like the draft are going to happen and free agency are going to happen, and people are going to go to new systems, and maybe where they didn't fit in one system, they're going to fit in another, and that goes for every single position. Why? This is the NFL. Why? This is fantasy football, and we live for all of the fucking madness. We live for all of the anarchy. Fantasy football is like that scene from The Dark Knight where the Joker just burns that stack of money and he just walks away. That is literally fantasy football. The NFL does not give a fuck. These coaches do not give a fuck. These players do not give a fuck about your fantasy team.
Enjoy every fucking minute of it.
Yeah, but we enjoy every single. It is our personal soap opera. The NFL is our soap opera.
Like women have the Kardashians, we have the NFL.
Exactly. While they're sitting back watching Krishan and Blueface, here we are. Oh my God, who's gonna start at tight end? Ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Goal Line Goons. What a great hour it has been. We will get into. We'll definitely have more fantasy football playoff talk next week. We're going to get into regular season fantasy football awards next week.
Cool.
So that'll be dope.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. So
I can't believe that we're in the playoffs, bro. It's what?
Yeah, we are. Fuck yeah, we are. Other than that, we greatly appreciate you. It's good now. But other than that, cheers to me, cheers to you, all the Rump Boys and girls. What it do? Dilly, Big Guy Fantasy Sports Network. Make sure that you like, you comment, you subscribe. Also like, comment, subscribe to Rump Boys. Check us out on Twitch. We out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Goal Line Goons. Help you chase those championships one goal at a time. Bow!
Preaching on the